Council on Tuesday, July the 16th at 7 p.m. Please rise for the invocation given by Councilwoman Sarah Lucido. Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear God, we begin by thanking you for all the blessings you have given us. We ask that civility and respect continue to be the rule of our council meetings, even as the discourse turns uglier in other municipalities in our state and across our nation. Let us be at the forefront in the understanding that by working together, sharing different points of view, and doing what is best for our residents, we'll continue to keep East Point as the template that other cities aspire to be. It is in your name we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a familiar face that's returned to the city of East Point today. So I would like to welcome our interim city manager, who will be here, and he will go about talking about some of the things in just a little bit. So welcome back to the city of East Point. Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Here.
Councilperson Lucido?
Here.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Here.
Councilperson Owens?
Here.
Mayor Pixley?
Here. I'd like a motion, please, to approve the agenda.
Madam Mayor, if I could have something added to the agenda, it would be under 8K. It's contained in the folders that the council members received. This is the result of a discussion that I had with Mr. Elworth with the Attorney General's office late last Friday with a very minor change to the previous resolution. It's just adding a couple of words, and if the council could consider that resolution tonight, that would speed the process along with approval with the Attorney General's office.
And where did you want to add it?
Just be added under new business under 8K. So moved.
Madam Mayor, if I wanted to table one of the agenda items to the next meeting, should I do it now or wait? Would you prefer if I waited?
I would prefer you do it now.
I would like to table the discussion on medical marijuana ordinances until the first meeting in August.
All right.
I think you could just move to replace item J with the charter amendment. Actually, I'll do that. I'll move to replace item J with the charter amendment.
Thank you.
Support.
Please call the roll.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Owens?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
And with that, we'll move to the first hearing of the public. Who would like to be heard at this time, please? Ma'am, please come forward and state your name.
My name is Helen Douglas.
Can you speak right into the microphone?
My name is Helen Douglas, and I live at 24765 Ridgecroft Avenue, East Point. Shall I just carry on? I have
Please.
notes. Okay, I live next door to Mr. Stanley Page of Ridgecroft Avenue, and I'm just going to read this really, really fast. 2 years ago, we had an issue with Mr. Stanley Page about a dog called Rome. He was an old dog left outside day and night, all through the winter, crying. We never did nothing at this time, even though the dog cried and barked. He wanted to go inside. We discussed this with Mr. Page. He did nothing. Then a year ago, he built cages in his backyard, and 3 pit bulls arrived. These are the cages. I have pictures. Then a year ago, he turned up with 3 pit bulls, and I did have a discussion with him, and he was very rude. He claimed they were show dogs, and he built these kennels, and he was going to, they were worth $2,000 each. He planned to keep them outside day and night, and I told him, absolutely not, it's not going to happen, because, his other dog was keeping me awake. 6 months later, 9 puppies arrived. He claimed they were show dogs, which they're not, because these dogs can't even sit, let alone be show dogs. He bred the bulldog. We bred show dogs in Alaska, me and my husband, because he was stationed there, because my husband served 24 and a half years in Alaska, in the Air Force. We lived there, and we lived in different properties for 3 years when we got moved. I've never had a problem with any of my neighbors before. After after Stanley Page had these puppies, he advertised them on a Craigslist for $2,000 each. I have had animal control involved, Mr. Bryan, who has been working with me. He's been, really good. He's trying to change the ordinance for this because there's like rules and regulations about having show dogs. He has actually told him that he has to get rid of the puppies, which I think he already has, but I've had issues with calling the police at least 12 times about noise complaints and barking dogs. Unfortunately, the ball got dropped because this happened when Brittany, the animal control lady, was in charge, and she was supposed to do checks on him, and he was supposed to provide paperwork to say they were show dogs. This did not happen. So now he thinks he can do anything he wants to do. He's doing backyard breeding in East Point, and I can guarantee that he's going to have more puppies, because you don't build cages like this in your backyard unless you are going to breed pit bulls. The puppies, I think, have gone. I already said that. But he still has a male and female there, and he has a male dog, and he has a different location that he's taken puppies to, bringing the other male dog back. So I know he has a different location that he's breeding puppies with. I have a 6-year-old granddaughter that plays in the backyard, and these puppies, are humping and trying to, have more puppies because he's not keeping them apart. I want to state that this is our retirement home after my husband serving in the Air Force and served this country 3 times in Iraq and 1 in Afghanistan. Our backyard, he built a deck on the backyard, and all I see is cages and dogs everywhere and dogs' mess. And I please ask for them to be removed, and I need help with this. I said about the other location, and I would like to see, that, but by the way, me and my husband do own properties. Cardi DeMarco knows this. We buy houses and we renovate them in East Point, and, old down houses, and we do a lot for East Point, and we pay taxes on all these houses. And so I'd like to see him pay taxes on all these dogs that he's selling, because I just think, it's not fair. Okay, and a lot of people know me here. Oh, yeah, you want to see the pictures? Anybody? Okay.
And your time is up, but you have talked to the animal control and to...
Yes.
All right, so we'll have to look at different ways that we can alter the situation.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for coming forward.
Okay. Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to be heard, please? Mr. Creech.
Madam Mayor and Council, Harvey Creech, resident of 24862 Latham, East Point, Michigan. One day last week, a little bit of an altercation happened, and it hasn't been the first, and it's probably not going to be the last. The young gentleman was walking in the street, and one of my neighbors asked him what was wrong with our sidewalks. Well, this young gentleman stepped out of the street and presently received, well, hey, let's put it this way. The young gentleman stepped out of the street, thought he was pretty bad, and got into an altercation with my neighbor. My neighbor's 6'5". He's not a little gentleman. Well, my neighbor casually picked this guy off the ground. This young gentleman said he was going to go home and get a gun. There's something wrong with our society and the way we're running our business in this city. I understand, like I said, we have to pay in order to get our sidewalks fixed. We have to pay in order to keep up our streets. We have to pay in order to keep up our property. We have to pay for all of this. And I said, I'm not telling our police department, I'm not telling these residents what they have to do. We've got to get something to stop some of this society harassment and the rest of the stuff that these residents are hitting. These people just live there. We shouldn't. I've done this before too. I used to step out of my front porch and watch these young citizens walk down the middle of our streets. I don't know if we have to make this a law and put it out where they can see it, or to totally enforce it, or what we have to do. But something's got to be done anymore, because I know a lot of the residents are like me. I try not to have altercations, but anymore, this is getting to be pathetic. When you see 6, 8, and 10 of them at a time walk down the street when there's nothing wrong with our sidewalks.
You have 30 seconds.
I thank you, Madam Mayor. And I don't know who to address this to anymore, because by the time you make the phone call, they're either gone or, what are you going to do? Please, help us out. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to be heard? Anyone else wish to be heard? Mr. Lubick.
Jeffrey Lubeck, East Point resident. I'd like to have my comments in the minutes from the last meeting corrected. This is on page 2. It says near the end of it that I was told by 2 members. What I said was I was urged by 2 members of the ever-present marijuana gang. The way it reads now, it sounds like council members were urging me. They were not. It was the people that have come here and are in a real big hurry to open up marijuana facilities. Mr. DeMonico, you made some statements at the end of the last meeting that I think the public deserves an explanation of. You somehow indicated that the Planning Commission was negligent in their duties because we didn't act within 30 days. However, it is on the record that on April 16th, after Councilman Kleinfeld gave a report after sitting in as liaison for the Planning Commission, the challenges the Commission was facing in regards to working out the medical marijuana issues. He motioned to indefinitely table the issue until the Planning Commission could complete their work. Then, at the last meeting, you somehow indicated that we acted inappropriately because we felt the need to table it for a few months. As Councilwoman Lucido said in her invocation, we are trying to do our best, keeping the interest of the citizens and the city in mind. And I don't appreciate being misaligned by your comments.
Thank you, Mr. Lubeck. Anyone else wish to be heard? Anyone else wish to be heard? Anyone else? With that, the first hearing of the public is closed. We move on to approval of the minutes, and the first item is the special meeting of June 25th, 2019. Do we have a motion, please?
Madam Mayor, I motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of June 25th, 2019.
Do we have support?
Support.
Please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Owens?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Abstain.
Our second item would be the regular meeting of July 2nd, 2019. Do we have a motion, please?
Madam Mayor, I motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of July 2nd, 2019.
We have support?
Support that with Mr. Lubeck's changes.
With, yes.
Do we have support? We moved and supported. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Owens?
Abstain.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Abstain.
We have no scheduled hearings. We'll move on to unfinished business. We have a number of items tonight. The first one is to reject the bid for the storm sewer repair project. Any discussion on that? These were items that were carried over, and it was just because we wanted a full vote on these items.
Madam Mayor, I motion to, that the East Point City Council rejects all bids for storm sewer repair projects received on June 11th, 2019.
Support.
Move and support. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Owens?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes. The second item is to waive the bid on the ranked choice voting implementation cost. And that was just the the amount that had been set was over 200,000, and I wanted to be sure that all of the council had a voice on this, and whether you wanted to make a limit somewhere halfway, or whether you wanted to go ahead with the full anticipated cost of the implementation.
I'm fine with making a motion, just saying that, they can't spend over 225,000, which is what was in our budget.
I don't think we should limit it. $225,000 is a lot of money, and we don't want to let people know that this is how much we're willing to spend, and they're going to try to spend as much money as possible. I want to have a limit on it.
My thinking is, I know that it's going to be expensive. As an example, on the 26th, I believe it is, we have a group of, 8 people that will be coming here.
Yeah, it's Wednesday the 24th. Probably more than that, probably 12 or 13.
So, and some of these conference calls are taking, 10 and 12 people, 25 people?
Sometimes 20 plus. Yeah, Brian, I think, how many were on the call last Thursday? 22 or 23?
Yeah, the way I remember it is it was 25 exactly, actually, so.
And in my opinion, I think in this situation, administration won't let that happen.
What
You know what I'm saying? Like,
my
people
feeling is,
overcharge.
I would like, as a council member, to be informed as to what the tally is on a
Like a
monthly
weekly-
basis.
Like when we get our weekly report, get it
Right.
up, yeah, I would think that's a good idea.
Is that a possibility, Mr. Blum?
Direct that to Mr. Cotton.
Yes. Mr. Blum.
Would you like that in place of the 24-hour provision that's in the
I'm
motion?
sorry.
Well, right now it says 24 hours. Would you rather just get at
Oh.
the end of the week, or?
No, I think maybe at the end of a month? We only have 2 more months to go, right?
Hopefully.
I'd prefer to keep it to get weekly updates,
I
just
think
so we
weekly
know.
updates.
All right.
So, Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that City Council waives the bid requirements under Section 2-548 of the Code of Ordinances and authorize the administration to exceed the 5,000 limit for goods and services related to ranked choice voting implementation, provided that the interim city manager advises the City Council weekly upon incurring a cost that exceeds $5,000.
Support.
Move to support. I think this is going to be like on a daily basis when they get to $5,000. All right. Move to support. Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico? Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Owens?
Yes. Yes.
And Mayor Pixley?
Yes. Our next item is to waive the bid on the unauthorized concrete repair. Do we have a motion to that effect, please?
I will make a motion, but before I do, I just want to say, I don't think it was actually unauthorized. I think there was some authorization given, so I just want to clarify that for the record. I do motion that the city council waives the bid requirements under section 2-548 of the code and ordinances and authorize the proposal received from Italia Construction Incorporation in the amount of $10,700 to remove and replace a portion of DPW 8-inch drive.
Support.
Move and support.
Yeah, I'd prefer that this just not happen again and be handled before it's thrown on city council's agenda. It'd be nice.
I agree
I
with
know you weren't here, Mr. Cotton, but just wanted to let you know. That's all, Madam Mayor.
So even though you weren't there, don't let it happen again.
Exactly.
Move and support it. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Owens?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Item D is a budget amendment number 2 for fiscal year 2019-20. Do we have a motion, please?
Madam Mayor, I'll motion that the council approve budget amendment number 2 for the 2019-20 fiscal year to reflect that the amended budget for the general fund read as shown in the agenda packet.
Support.
Move and support it. Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Owens?
Now, before you vote, now, this is including the people at the courts getting their raise too, correct?
This is only including
No, it's non-union and court.
non-union.
So we are giving them a raise after they just got one last year?
No, this is the non-union
Or
employees.
this is not the court people? Okay.
No, court is included in this.
The court is included, he's
It's the
saying.
2% for the non-union, and then the court increases.
Okay,
So,
sorry.
so the recommendations that the judge was talking about, his court administration, this is included in that?
The reduced amount that was agreed to between the city manager and the judge, yes.
It's a reduced amount.
Okay.
So the total amount of raises for the court, just to clarify, is $30,383, correct?
Correct.
So that's the addition of them getting a raise from last year?
Yes, and then they're getting, I believe there was 3 employees that were receiving raises at the total of $30,000, so approximately $10,000 apiece.
But they didn't get one last year. The other
No, I agree.
court administrators
Right.
got a raise last year. They're getting
The
one
other
this year too?
personnel here did not get a raise last year, yes.
No, I don't care about the people that, I care about the people that,
No, I understand what you're saying.
I care about the people
you're-
that did
I
not
agree
get a
with you.
raise.
You're right, yeah,
But the
I
people that
agree.
got a raise last year, I care about the people that didn't get one.
Right,
So.
I agree with you.
That's what I'm saying. They got one last year, they're getting another one this year, and we're just updating the other people who didn't get one in the last 5 years. Is that right?
Right.
The problem is the
But this
court-
is including the court and-
The court has the control over the court.
Well, we have control on the total amount.
I guess my question is, why are we giving them an additional raise after we gave them one last year?
Because comparisons, they did comparisons.
The comparisons looked good.
I agree. I don't think we should be giving an increase in the court because the way they're offsetting it with increasing the probation fees, I don't think that's the way it should.
So why are we giving them a raise? They just got one last year. Now, we should give the people who haven't had a raise in the last 5 years, I do agree they should have raises. So why we couldn't do 2 different ones for,
So, Mr. Blum, am I wrong? The court has the right, the judge has the right to set the raises for the court,
Correct.
correct?
He still has to stay within his authorized budget. So if the pay raises have already been implemented, if council doesn't approve the budget amendment, he would have to find $30,000 of expenditures to cut elsewhere to stay within budget.
But the changes that he made to the budget allow for the raises that he's giving,
Only if you approve this amendment tonight,
correct?
yes.
so is there any way we can approve the people who haven't got a raise in 5 years and not approve the people who got a raise last year? Can we do a separate?
Well, this motion's already been made, so if this one fails, we could do another motion and do them separately.
Well, I want to hear what council has to say.
I mean, I would be okay with that.
What do you guys think?
I think they already voted, yeah.
I think it's I will refrain from speaking in the middle of a roll call. So if council would like to discuss it after roll call's finished, I'm happy to engage them.
So we have a motion.
We already started roll call. Linda?
Councilperson Owens?
No.
Mayor Pixley?
No.
Councilperson Lucido?
No.
So if we want to look at doing this separately,
I would entertain a motion, sir.
sir, exactly what were you thinking of?
I think that we should, well, there's 2 things on here. One was, hold on. The 2% raise, I think it was 2% for administration, and then
The decrease in workers' comp.
the decrease.
two
in
elements
workers'
that
comp. So
were not
yeah,
court-related.
expenditures right here. So there's actually 3 things.
No, 2. Under expenditures, the last 2 items.
We'll increase the 38th District Court personnel expenses of $30,000 to reflect the wage increases agreed to with the judge and related benefit costs. That would be one, correct?
No, the last two items, the increase
And
in,
then increase the various personnel expenditures of $16,869 to reflect the 2% increase in non-union wages and related benefit costs. And then
Is that-
decrease the workman's comp and expense of $38,726.
is that correct, Mr. Blum?
Correct.
So we do all three separate?
You could, yeah.
Madam Mayor, I motion to increase the various personnel expenses of $16,869 to reflect the 2% increase in non-union wages and related benefit costs.
Support.
Moved and support, please call that roll.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Owens?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes. And,
Now, the issue is the 30,000 is, we would need a new calculated number from the discussion at the table. Am I correct on? Because the idea was not to, the concern was giving that amount.
right.
So to know what the 2% or
Well,
what,
the 2% is for non-union employees at City Hall.
yes.
But we could.
Did we
could-
want to
We could defeat the first one and then ask them to come back with another figure.
Correct.
and possibly suggest 2% is,
Which is across the board, pretty much.
does that make sense to the other council members that had some thoughts?
But Mr. Blum, what about the decreasing the workers' comp expenditures?
You can approve that or not. I mean, it's going to happen. It's a little bit of a cushion. If you don't approve it, we're including that to help offset the increase in the court cost.
So is the workers' comp expense coming from the court, or is it coming
No,
from everybody?
that's a citywide number.
Citywide number,
Yep.
okay. Madam Mayor, I motion to decrease the workers' compensation expense of $38,726 to reflect renewal rates.
Support.
Move and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember Lucido?
Yes.
Councilmember Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Now, the other item under the expenditures,
I think
Mr.
that,
Blum, can we send that back and ask for a new figure on that?
I can provide a 2% number to council through an email tomorrow. And then, maybe Mr. Cotton and myself can go meet with the judge again.
All right.
So I'd actually like to request just to get the information of the pay for the employees affected for the last 5 years and what the request is that has been given to us by the court. Because I think some of the information presented to us and the way it was presented in terms of if fees are being collected more, it's going to offset this cost, really just muddies up what the real numbers we're looking at actually are.
I agree with that.
Does that request make sense?
Put the
Mr.
2%.
Cotton?
So would you like to table that first section then until the following meeting when we get additional information?
Yeah, do we even need to table it if there's not a motion? Because the original motion was turned down, they can just provide a new agenda item at the next meeting. Because the first motion was rejected.
Yeah,
so-
I mean, we took action. I think it's just another item for the next
Right.
For the next
agenda
meeting.
item.
All right. All right, so then we can move on to tax reversion properties.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to authorize administration to proceed with the purchase of the 2019 tax reversion properties within the city of East Point from Macomb County in the amount of $390,854.95 pursuant to Public Act 206 of 1893, and authorize the deputy city clerk to execute all necessary documents related to the acquisition of these properties.
Support.
Move and support. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Owens?
Yes.
Item F is the budget amendment number 3 for fiscal year 2019-20.
Madam Mayor, I motion that the City Council approve the budget amendment number 3 for the 2019-2020 fiscal year to reflect the amended budget for the general fund. Read as following. General Fund 101, general appropriations, $6,213, or $6,213,000 and $158. Does that make sense?
Do we have support, please?
Support.
Please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Owens?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes. With that, we'll move on to reports from administration, and we'll start with our interim city manager, Ryan Cotton. Welcome back.
Thank you, Mayor Pixley and members of the City Council. It's very much a pleasure, and members of the audience. I recognize many faces, and it feels great to be back and be in a friendly community town. And I was leaving my car in the parking lot when I first arrived, and got a hug from someone on council, so that feels good to be back to serve you. So I didn't think I'd have anything to report, and that would make a short meeting. But I do have 6 items, it turns out, so I'll make it quick. First, I've distributed the schedule. I'll be here 3 days a week. And I wanted to think it through and put it in front of you. Although I will be available by phone or electronically, I'll respond at all times of day and night. Feel free to contact me as usual, 638-8910, area code 616, as usual, and I will do my best to make sure we give you the service that you and the community needs. I want to thank the team who is assembled, and most of whom are here tonight, and many of whom are not, who I know are diligent regardless of all these changes, and certainly are stepping up and at this time to do everything that I asked them to. So together, we hope to make all things work well for you. Secondly, I understand that one of the council goals is to have an economic development director hired. So we have a job description that was already on the books. I'm reviewing it, and I'll be back in touch and go through it with the council so everyone's aware and can interface with us to make it the best it can be. I have some thoughts, but I need yours to make sure we hit the target. To that end, there is a budget also for a 4 hours a week planner / economic development with a bent towards economic development and implementing the master plan. So Director Van Haren and I met with McKenna today, and I think she's in the audience or will be. And thank you, Mary. We have a game plan, and I'll explain it in writing to you, that I think is very robust for the use of those 4 hours. I know it's a trial basis, but that person will actually be laying some groundwork that will make this economic development director even more successful. So more to follow in writing on that. Fourth, I look forward to hearing the discussion on the charter change, and that leads me to 5th, and that's the city manager recruitment. I spoke with GovHR principals who did the last recruitment, and as you know, they have a 2-year guarantee, and it's not been 2 years. So we and they are very comfortable in proceeding as you would like, if you would like us to exercise new recruitment. The only cost involved is the out-of-pocket advertising expenses. There would be no additional consulting fees. So there is no agreement that you need to sign or execute. You just need to maybe make that a motion at some point that you'd like us to proceed. If you make that tonight, I'll get going. They said they would assign me to it in this case, and I would I helped before. This time I would be the principal person. I do believe if that we can get started and look at the ad and look at postings, and you would need to be part of the ad description to make sure that we have covered all our bases, no matter whether the charter amendment approves or fails. But that way, we're not dead in the water. So I'd be happy to have a report for you at the next meeting, or entertain your, if you want to make a motion tonight. Whatever works for you will work for me, as long as I'm not here a year from now. I'm glad you got the joke. The next item and last item is the master plan. It's really great to see that document approved. I think it's a pretty exciting document with a lot of great things in it. I'm going to be working to make sure all the staff is familiar with it as Director Van Haren is, and that might include the city council being part of this. By the way, if I accidentally say village council, I just got off a gig serving a village as an interim manager, so I apologize in advance. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Cotton?
I'll move to direct GovHR to proceed with the search.
Support.
Move support. Let's take the roll on that one.
Yes.
Yes. Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Owens?
Yes.
All right. Moving on.
Madam Mayor, I just had one minor thing I remember from last meeting. Let's just make sure we contact the county treasurer today about the tax reversion properties. I think they wanted to
Tomorrow.
essentially know ASAP.
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow.
All right, fine.
Get through
Tomorrow
emails.
morning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But just, I remember you saying that last time.
Yep.
Just want to make sure we don't forget that.
All right, let's move on to our finance director, Mr. Blum.
Yes, Madam Mayor and Council. I actually have nothing tonight. I'm just glad we're kind of back to normal budget amendments again, and we'll go on from there. So,
And when does your assistant start?
August 5th.
That will be nice. Any questions for Mr. Blum? All right, let's move on to Mr. Albrecht.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of
Works
council.
30 hours a day, including weekends.
Give or take. I only had one item to report on. This is regarding the tax reversion properties. Of the 19 parcels, 12 of those were the subject of dangerous building hearings. And so I've let Ms. Van Haren know about that, so then she can remove those from the dangerous building list, because the city now will become the owners of those properties. And that's all I had. Madam Mayor, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anyone have any?
Just regarding those properties, I'd like to get possibly a consensus from council that the ones that appear to be occupied, that as soon as we get ownership, that we act extremely swiftly on the proceedings we need to start to vacate those properties.
Okay, we can start eviction proceedings.
Anything else?
Is there any way that the people that live in those houses, instead of evicting them, can we let them, give them an offer to buy the house that they're living in? And if they say no, then evict them, if they can't pay for the house?
I think we've had special circumstances in the past, and of course, I think administration should feel free to bring those to our attention. I do think we have to be careful about how we do that, because we're purchasing a property and then giving one person the opportunity to buy it without opening it to the public, and I just don't want to go too far down that road.
And my other concern too is if it's one of our dangerous building hearings, I would feel uncomfortable selling any property to a family or a resident that is actually on our dangerous building list.
If it's a dangerous building. If it's not, then we can still, why not? If we buying it for $5,000, they live in the house.
If there's-
Getting our money back, that's the whole purpose.
If there are special circumstances that administration can explain to us, then I think we can consider it at that time.
Yeah.
Some may be renters and some may be actual owners as well, who've just not paid their taxes.
And
And the
we
tax-
cannot sell it back to the owner that lost it in foreclosure.
Correct.
It would only be if it was a renter and the landlord lost it.
Correct.
I don't think we did that last time, though.
It was a renter.
Yeah, it was no, a guy owned his house, he was sick, and then.
Oh,
he
that
wanted his house
particular
back.
one, yes.
So we did do that before, so that's
did
what
do
I'm
that.
saying, if we possibly can do it again, if we open it up to one person, that's why I told us we have to be careful when we did it the first time. So since we did it the first time, we might as well offer it up instead of kicking somebody out there, a home that they may be able to buy. So we can have those two options open, just in case. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else? Then let's move on to new business, and we'll start with introduction and first reading of ordinance number 1174 related to rezoning of the property located at 17401 10 Mile Road.
Madam Mayor, I motion to introduce and give first reading to ordinance number 1174, which would rezone property located at 17401 10 Mile Road, parcel number 02-14-20-353-011, from I-1 Light Industrial District to OS1 Office Services District, and schedule the ordinance for second reading and consideration for adoption at the City Council's August 6, 2019 regular meeting.
Support.
Move and support.
Can I just say one thing really quick? They came out to the planning commission meeting, and this, I think, is gonna be a huge asset to our community. I mean, it's gonna look really nice. I think it's a really great program. I'm actually really excited about it.
One of the people that's been involved with this PACE group was on our Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors for quite some time, and we begged her to
Yeah.
get a building in East Point.
I'm really
So I'm really
excited
excited
to have
about
it here.
this.
It's really gonna be great.
I'm really, really excited about it. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Owens?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes. Our next item is the special event application for the East Point High School Homecoming Parade. Do we have a motion, please?
Sure, Madam Mayor, I'll motion to approve the special event application for the East Point High School Annual Homecoming Parade for Friday, October 4, 2019, from 4 p.m. to 4:45 p.m. with the following conditions: that the East Point High School pay the full cost, $1,875 for city services, that Ms. Van Herentz contact the traffic safety officer, Josh Ignis, prior to October 1, 2019, and that Ms. Van Herentz submit to the city a general liability certificate naming the city of East Point as additional insured on the policy for this event.
Support.
Move and support. Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Owens?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes. Our next item is the Gratiot Avenue 9 Mile Road right turn lane designation.
Madam Mayor, I motion to approve the striping of a dedicated right turn lane on northbound Gratiot Avenue to eastbound 9 Mile Road.
Support.
Move and support. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Owens?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Next item is the authorization for CellSense, and this was brought up during the budget hours, but if we have any questions, Director Rueb is here, and I'm sure would be willing to give us lots of information.
Thank you, Mayor,
You're on.
Council. When I was first hired here, I did a risk assessment on our lockup facility, and I was alarmed because one day a prisoner came in and he had a screw in his mouth, and we didn't have the proper equipment to detect that screw. This particular device will sense any type of metals on the persons in their pockets, on their body. It's almost something like the airports have. And what's nice about it, it's very versatile. It could, we can pull it off the wall. It's stationary. We could take it on drug raids if we want. We can scan, bedding, clothing, anything to that effect. So what I did was I contacted MMRMA, or Risk Management Authority, and they came out and they did the assessment with me in the cell, and they agreed there were certain areas of the lockup that could be improved. And one of these I proposed was the body sensor Secondly was intercom systems, and lastly was improving our camera system. So they agreed to provide us with a grant up to $18,000. So this particular item is $12,000 and some change, but they're agreeing to pay 1/3 of the cost of this equipment, provided once we purchase it, I'll send them proof of purchase, they will reimburse us. And then the other things I spoke about, they will also reimburse us 1/3 of the cost once approved by this council. This device will take approximately a week to get here, but they're backed up with training. They're going to send an individual out from Chicago to train our officers. It's a 4-hour training, and once they're trained, we're ready to go.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that East Point City Council waive the bid requirements under Section 2-548 of the Code of Ordinances and approves the purchase of the CellSense Plus MK5 System C3 from Metrosense in an amount not to exceed $12,495.
Support.
Move and support. Any further questions? Please call the roll.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Owens?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Item E is approval of the automotive loan agreement, and this relates back to our Model T. And who would like to speak? I don't see Sage is not there. Do you want to speak to this as well?
He's on vacation, and I have no background on this at all.
I can tell you about it.
Madam Mayor, yeah,
Well,
we're both familiar with it.
we've had a Model T that has been in the community since 1921. It was here before we were the village of Halfway, and it's been given to the city. It bears the license plate number 1 or the vehicle number 1. We spent about $20,000. Jeff Lubeck was involved, a number of the people out there in the audience, to completely take it apart, completely restore it, repaint it, redo the transmission, all the motors. We even went up to the UP and got the special wood that Henry Ford used for the seats and the spokes. Took us a great deal of time, I think maybe 4 years, but it was finally in perfect condition, ran in the parades and all. But for the last 2 years, it sat behind the fire station. So previously, we had made arrangements that, because it's a treasure in the Henry Ford Motor Car Company, that we took it to the Paquette plant, which was the first plant that Henry Ford had it's down in the Milwaukee Junction area. So we asked them if they would be willing to have the truck back. It would be on an exhibit display whenever it's not here. And we could get it and bring it back here for all of our parades and any time that we want it. So I think it's a good way to preserve the treasure. That's a historical treasure. There's no one around that has a 1921 Model T. This is actually a Model TT fire truck. And some people think I'm crazy when I said Model TT, but it's a high-speed rear axle that allows the truck to go 35 miles an hour. The last time it was used is really interesting because it was used to put out an airplane fire. There was a airplane that had taken off from the airport that was at Fraser and Gratiot, where Eastgate now is, and it went down in our eastern area, and that was the last time that Lizzie was used as a truck. So, anyway, Mr. Albright worked really hard to come up with this action with this motion, and this will protect the city related to insurance and still allow us to take the truck back and forth, bring it back to the city for special occasions. So I would entertain a motion, please.
Sure, Madam Mayor, I'll motion to approve the automobile loan agreement between the City of East Point and the Ford Paquette Avenue plant for 5 years beginning August 1, 2019, and expiring August 1, 2024, and authorize the interim city manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the city.
Support.
Move and support. Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Owens?
Yes.
Our next item relates to the preparation of the capital improvement plan. So who would like to talk about this?
Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, and I want to make sure that our Finance Director, Randy Bloom, interfaces here. Normally, you develop the capital improvement plan, I believe, in March, February, March,
December, January.
in anticipation of those public meetings, and then it becomes part of your regular budget. And this time, it is being prepared now. As been pointed out by former City Manager Saboto, there's a Planning Commission decision involved in a formal capital improvement plan, which is a little bit different than maybe you've done in the past. It is something that I've done in the past where we've run it by the Planning Commission. So really, it's just a judgment call that we're asking you to make tonight, whether you would like the Planning Commission to be asked to develop the capital improvement plan. I'm sure they'd be interfacing with city staff. Whether you'd like the city manager's office, interim city manager's office to do it, or whether you as the city council would like to have additional opportunities to dive into these things and meet and create it. So one way or another, it is good to have a 5-year projection, this year's budget, and then a 5-year projection that takes into account all of your capital needs and also anticipates ways to finance them. So you might recall last year you had a goal-setting session as well. So at some point you will see this capital plan. You will have input, whether it starts with the Planning Commission or starts with you. It will end with you, and you'll have an opportunity to adjust any priorities.
It always seems to me in the past that administration has come forward with a 5-year administrative plan for capital improvements, looking at both water, sewer, as well as our capital buildings and so forth, and come up with a plan. And then in the past few years, we've had a joint meeting as well with the Planning Commission to review what we had and to get any additional input. So, Mr. Blum, you've been here, you're the longest now.
Is that good or bad?
Is he going to the museum also?
Yeah, actually, the one thing that came about with this capital improvement plan, I think, turned out to be a terminology issue with the former city manager. There is a process to do a formal capital improvement plan that generally would involve planning, that council would adopt, and then they would follow it to the T for the next 5 years. We do a capital improvement plan, a CIP, but it's here's the next year budget, and here's just a forecast for the next 5 years in addition to it. But council isn't adopting a 5-year plan, they're adopting a 1-year plan with just a forecast. And that's why I think we got in the weeds on this one. This particular year was just a terminology misunderstanding. If you want to adopt a formal capital improvement plan, you can still do that. But if you adopt it in the manner that would be prescribed for that, you would be basically stuck spending that money whether you have it or not. The way we've done it in the past is more appropriate for this city.
We projected a 5-year plan and adopted the 1 year.
Right. Yep.
I think that's the route I would want to go, is to adopt the 1-year plan with a projected for the following 4 years. But I do think that it probably is a good idea to make sure that it does either have the joint meeting with the Planning Commission or at least have it go to planning, just because, especially with the master plan being done, to make sure that it's in line with the master plan.
Now, would a formal capital improvement plan require public hearings the way the master plan does? So, and I don't think we've done it that way. We've had the public meetings, but not
Correct.
formal hearings.
Yeah, our meetings have been more planning of what council wanted to see done so we could get it into the budget document.
We've always had a special meeting that was, of course, open to the public.
Right.
So it's more of a capital improvement it's not really quite a plan.
It's a
Okay.
dream list.
Yes.
It's a dream list.
Yeah,
Each
wish
of the
list.
department heads come
not a
forward.
It's a planning session of how we're going to spend our capital. Yeah.
So maybe we should call it, that we shouldn't refer to it as capital improvement plan. Maybe we should refer to it as something else, like capital improvement for,
Capital expenditure projections.
yes,
How's that?
capital.
Well, so, the way we've done it,
Projections, yeah.
administration has just kind of revamped it every year with input from city council. And from, if I'm understanding this correctly, I feel like this isn't actually necessary if really what we're doing is just asking administration to prepare, you know, kind of like an internal document that's not necessarily binding.
I think it's really essential that you have a plan, so you can set aside funds, financial especially when you're talking about major roads and local roads. I think you have to have some kind of a plan on how much finance you need to get in that area. And Randy needs to give us the information related to how much money is gonna be coming in from the state related to, because you can't just say, we're haphazardly gonna do this street and this street. You have to plan it, and fortunately, the TIP now, the Transportation Improvement Plan, has the major roads and minor roads, or major roads that will be done in the next 5 years, many of which are in East Point. So I think in anticipation of that, we really need to have some kind of a projected 5-year plan, but we only approve the current year when we have those special meetings.
Right, and I agree with that. I mean, I don't think right now it's, because we already approved this year's budget. I mean, it's necessarily even a hurry, because it would be more of a reflection for next year's budget, and at this time.
Do you have any thoughts, Mr. Cotton?
Well, it still would be this year budget though, correct? I just want to be sure
Well,
you understand.
We already,
From
what we are,
1920.
what I'm saying, we already approved all of the capital improvements for this year in the budget when we approved the budget. Usually we have this discussion before the budget to decide on the capital improvements we want in the budget. So it's already kind of late for that because we already have the budget established. So those actual capital improvements are
I'm not sure that
already
we
been
have all
voted
the
on.
capital improvements in it that we probably should have had, but. Because when you look at the Parks Master Plan.
Right.
And you look at our master plan, there's probably a lot of things
Oh.
in those that are not in the capital improvement plan.
Right, we have dollar amounts, but not necessarily projects.
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Cotton, did you have a preferred method?
It's kind of like real estate, location, location, location. This is all about planning, planning, planning. So more planning is better than less. I think this planning should occur. You should see it. It should be done as you've done it in the past. And you will at least be in a position to cross-compare these other reports, decide on budget amendments. New people coming on board, new people who are on board will understand and see the game plan. It'll interface with the master plan. That'll be part of the loops that gets looked at by. I would like to involve the Planning Commission, not as the preparer, but rather the reviewer and recommender in addition to the staff. And I think this is probably, for reasons that aren't clear, made more complicated than it really needs to be. So if you'd like to just continue as before, you can simply move that the city manager's office or finance office, whichever you prefer, be directed to prepare it and bring it to you. And we will do so within a matter of 6 to 8 weeks, depending.
I'd like to say administrations.
Administrate, yeah.
Okay.
And the other thing is, I still think that you need to have a joint meeting with planning, so that planning has some involvement, not necessarily that planning designs the capital improvement plan.
Right, and I mean, I think administration should design the capital improvement plan, but even if we don't do a joint meeting, just have it be approved by the planning commission before it comes to us. Even if we can't do a joint meeting, because sometimes that's.
I'm just looking at the two motions that were recommended.
Right.
Well, Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that East Point City Council exempt the Planning Commission from preparing the capital improvement plan and designate the person holding the position of city manager and his or hers assigns in administration to prepare the annual capital improvement plan and then present the plan to the Planning Commission for recommendation and the City Council for approval.
Support.
Any further discussion on that? Please call the roll.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Owens?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes. Our next item is budget amendment number 4 for fiscal year 2019-20.
Madam Mayor, I motion to approve budget amendment number 4 as presented.
Support.
Please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Owens?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes. Item H is a commission appointment to the Parks Commission. This is a mayoral appointment, and this is for Betty Banks. Did I see her out there? No.
Yeah.
Betty
Madam Mayor,
Bishop, I'm sorry, Betty Bishop. Whoops, sorry, Betty.
Madam Mayor, I motion to reappoint Betty Bishop to the Parks Commission with a term to expire July 31st, 2022.
Support.
Move and support, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Owens?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
So council, I added the item on discussion on the traffic signal modernization grants. This is, last week it was approved that we would spend $285,000 to update traffic signals. I've done some research in the meantime. I'm a little bit concerned because it was a 2-1 vote. $285,000 is a great deal of money for just 2 people. And I know their hearts are in the right place, but maybe we were given some of the wrong information. I did some checking, and here's some things that we need to consider when voting on this issue. Number one, 9 Mile Road is going to be completely reconstructed in a very short period of time. What did we, in 21, 22, and 23. So at that time, you're probably going to be redoing the lights. At that same time, 9 Mile Road is the only one that we totally own the traffic lights. The traffic lights on 8 Mile Road belong to MDOT, as do the traffic lights on Gratiot belong to MDOT. And MDOT gives Wayne County the control and the maintenance of the lights on 8 Mile Road. On 10 Mile Road, which is a major street, 10 Mile is a county road, and half of the lights on that, the majority or the percentage of those lights financially is controlled by, shared by East Point and Roseville. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Blum, but 10 Mile Road, each East Point and Roseville pay 25%.
Correct. The county has
county-
50%, and then Roseville and East Point both have 25. Until you get down where the city limits goes north of 10 Mile, then it's a 50-50 split between the county and the city.
So my other concern is we do have a couple traffic lights on Kelly Road that are within our area. But those plus the 9 Mile lights are the only ones that we actually control. I'm just a little bit more concerned. My other point is that funding is taken out of major roads. And 50% of our major road funding, we have to use for local roads. And we have a lot of local roads that are a problem. I hate to tell you this, but a truck collapsed through the road today with work that needs to be done on the local roads. So I'm just really concerned about that huge amount of money on something that's not going to come back for us in a very short time. And the money is going to be expended in the next couple of years. And it's a grant, and the grant has to go out to 3 different resources. So I'm really concerned about that. And I just wanted to express my opinion because I've only got 3 months, 2 weeks, and 3 days to go. So next year, when you're looking for extra money for local roads coming from major roads, think that it might be changing light bulbs on just the 9 Mile traffic lights. All right, I expressed my opinion. Anybody want to discuss it any further? You weren't here, Michael, so
I wasn't here, and I understand it passed if council has no objection to considering 2 of us here as wanting to discover it or discuss it, having not voted for it. I had some concerns after reading this. One, I had a question. Do we have these cost share agreements in writing? Or has it just been practice with the county and Roosevelt?
Oh, the cost share agreements are in writing. Oh, yeah.
I would just be interested to see that, because I don't think I have ever read that.
For 10 Mile Road and as well as for Gratiot.
Yeah, I don't know that there's one for 8 Mile, but I do know when they did the 8 in Beaconsfield, we paid 25% of that one.
There has been groundwork, and that we have emails, and there, I don't think they've executed documents. Maybe they have them on file, but there are emails that confirm that their cost shares will be shared. But our bottom line is still the number that Mayor Pixley said.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, the actual motion was the money would only be spent if we actually were awarded the grant.
Right.
That was in the motion.
So in the grant, I mean, if we use the full amount, the $290,550, if we spend that much, we're getting $3.24 million worth of work. And if we're doing 9 Mile at that time, it'd be about the same time that we'd be able to use these funds anyway, and we'd be getting an 80% discount as opposed to paying the full amount. And they'll be able to pave the street without affecting the traffic lights, because we asked that about the refuge islands. They're gonna go around those, so we're not rebuilding them again just in a couple years. So I'd
Right, 'cause
imagine.
the lights don't actually go in the street. They're on the
No,
sidewalk.
the wiring
Yeah.
is, much of the wiring is outside of it, too. I just,
And part of this too was it's like the box span configuration. Instead of going across the road, it's safer, easier for people to see, and they reflect light better. And we said they're LED, the lights don't go all out at once. We shouldn't have traffic lights going out anymore. I think there were 2 off on 10 Mile the other week. And it also should help with traffic congestion, because they can better
the two
time
lights,
'em.
the two lights that were off on 10 Mile Road, they were because of a power down, right? It was a wire that went down in Roseville that took down our lights at Phlox and at Hayes.
Okay, well.
It wasn't the inadequate light, traffic safety.
I'm not opposed to doing upgrades. I was just surprised that we have a cost share agreement with the county. I would have thought it's a county road. They're responsible for the lights, but I guess I don't know how that works
Well,
exactly.
and the other thing is, I don't think we've really investigated how this works with Comtech, because the county has control over almost all the lights in this city, right? If the light goes out on 9 Mile Road, does the county not repair it?
The county still comes and fixes those, right? We just pay 100% of the cost.
I wasn't here either when you guys voted yes on this. And I think that's why it's important to have the CIP plan, because I feel like this is not part of was this part of the capital improvement plan? Because if it's not that important to get. Because whether we get a discount or not, we're still paying monies out of major roads.
Well, we don't have a capital improvement plan.
That's the problem. That's why we
Right.
keep spending
I
money
agree.
like this for
Well,
things we don't need.
I'm just so cautious. I've, been here for a while, and I know that one of our big problems is getting money into local streets. And I sit there and I listen to all this stuff that's coming out of Lansing, and I don't hear anything new or different. I don't think we're gonna get a lot of money into our local roads. And when you take money out of major roads and only 50% of that is set for local roads, you got some hard times coming, and your streets are not in that best of condition.
No, and I understand that concern. It's just that, in my opinion, I do feel like it's a good opportunity because of the amount of the grant we would have received, which is, I believe, a little over 3 million
If you receive.
for the investment. Well, if we don't receive the grant, then we're not spending the funds.
And you
So
have,
we're only spending the funds if we get the 3 million in
and you
grants.
have to get the county, and you have to get Roseville to also agree to it, to apply for it. There's essentially 3 grant applications.
Right, and so if we don't end up getting the grants for whatever reason, we're not gonna end up spending those expenditures anyways.
And in terms of the capital improvement program, I guess I'd disagree. We do have one, just not exactly what we were talking about
Right.
earlier. But also, Mr. Abraham is new here, and I think he's trying to be proactive. Wasn't currently in our plan because he wasn't here, and he saw something where we could save 80%, I believe, and brought it forward. I think that's why he brought it forward. I appreciate him being proactive
Well,
about something like this.
And I do, except if it takes too much away. All right, let's move on to item K, which is the charter change.
Madam Mayor, I will make a motion to approve the resolution to amend the charter as presented with the edits by the city attorney.
Support.
Move and support. Mr. Albright, did you want to say anything about this?
Yes, Madam Mayor, this is, again, the result of my conversations with the Attorney General's office. They have had a chance to review the initial resolution related to the charter amendment, and these were the only comments that they had. And after discussion with them, I did not think that the council would have any objection to making those very small edits. And so, and I did inform Mr. Allworth that I could bring it before the council for consideration at tonight's meeting, and then if approved, then I would forward it to his office tomorrow. And so he's aware of that, and he's waiting on that. That's all I have.
Do we have a motion, please?
Yes, I think, I'm not sure if there was
We
support.
already have a motion, don't we?
Please call the roll.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Owens?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Our next item is payroll and bills.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve payment of the bills in the amount of $1,065,117.34.
Support.
Please call the roll.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Owens?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes. And that would take us to our second hearing of the public. Does anyone wish to be heard? Mr. DeHaan?
John DeHunt, East Point resident. I wanted to comment on the gentleman that left with the new PACE facility. That was a wonderful meeting that we had at Planning Commission, and what they have proposed is spectacular. And just a shot across the bow to our resident, or to our municipalities next to us, we took this from Warren. There's something to be said about that. So I wanted to call that out. I was moved by Councilwoman Lucido's invocation because I have been toiling with some anger issues, but I have been very contained, minus an email. Our Planning Commission, we do not seek public office. We do not aspire to greatness on City Council. We do not aspire to higher office. We aspire to do our best for the city. This is not an easy task. We don't always agree with what you guys say. You guys don't always agree with what we think. Chickens are a prime example. But we do our best. We take things slowly, maybe more slowly than you wish, but we have thoughts, we have concerns. Something was said a couple meetings ago where it was inferred that I called somebody a liar. I do not use my words frivolously. I would never publicly use that term to say that to anybody. My respect is the only thing I will take to the grave with me. And that's all any of us have to take with us, is the respect that we get. So if I'm going to call somebody a liar, I will never do it in a public setting. I would never disrespect that person. I just wanted that clarified. That said, I would love an apology. Minus that happening, I'm going to go on being a Planning Commission member because I want to do good for my community. And at the end of the day, that is it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to be heard? Mr. Creech?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Harvey Creech, resident of East Point. Under the preparation of the capital improvement plan, I have talked about this maybe for the last year and a half to 2 years. Under the improvement plan, you have X amount of dollars for X amount of things, and which is great. But I understand when you just got done saying it's not laid in stone. Not too long ago, I talked to more or less officials of the city itself when X amount of dollars are laid out to do X amount of things in the city. Well, there has been dollars laid out to do certain things, but the dollars are either still there or used on different things or not used at all. I just don't understand this anymore. As I say, I understand the city sometimes grasps for straws and is looking for money to do other things. But when I look at the plan and it says we're going to do this, well, right now we're at the plan. I'm fighting to get our parks back up to some kind of a standard, and I think everybody on this council knows that. I'm fighting as hard as I can, and maybe fighting a little bit too hard, because nobody's pulling back in their horns, but we're not exactly going in a procedure or a pace that I'm exactly caring for. You know, right now we have been without for so long, and now we're starting to get back. But I can't believe what we have to go through to get what we already said we can get. You know, we have shuffleboard courts, we have horseshoe, we have all these things in our parks, yet we don't really maintain them. We don't have the supplies for them, and I'm fighting. I mean, we're starting to get a little bit at a time, and it's fighting to come back. But in order to keep our kids, to keep our residents, and to keep everybody happy, let's put them back in there. The money was there before in certain incidences. You know, I mean, look at Memorial Park, where the money was laid out to do certain things. Now we're still waiting for the money. We're still waiting for the time. You know, as I said, how long can it take sometimes to do something when we finally got the money to get something done? As I said, I can't force the council. I can't force anybody to do anything. But I tell you what, we can't keep holding our feet to, as I said before too, we're dragging our feet sometimes on some of these things so hard that some of the people, we need to bring them back. The only way we're going to get them back is supply them with what we had before. You know, you said, yeah, we're, at a typical meeting the other day, we
You
want
have 30 seconds.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I say, we want to get it. Yes, I'm fighting for it. And as I say, they keep, give us a chance. You know, they keep saying Rome wasn't built in a day. But how long, you know, said, just pull the horses out from underneath them, we won't build Rome at all. Please, you know, as I said, let's get it, as I say, the Parks and Recreation, either get it back, as I say, we've got another 15 years on a plan. You know, I say, let's get busy and take some of this back to the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Creech. Anyone else wish to be heard? Mr. Prane?
Marty Pren, East Point resident. I think at the last city council meeting, I had not yet moved into my new facility, but I have, as of today, actually as of the 3rd, moved in, and I'm very happy with the facility that's there, so I don't have to deal with the unregistered landlord that I was dealing with. And hopefully the city is still following through with requiring him to have a permit. Whether or not he wants to say that he's no longer renting or not is not the issue. The other question was the item that I had brought up, and there may have been a little confusion with the proclamation that I had requested of the city to consider, and I wasn't sure if the city council members had gotten copies of that, or if there was going to be any consideration for that, or if there needed to be a first reading. I wasn't exactly sure how your procedure works on that. Basically just to find out what the status is, if the city is interested in coming up with this Code 22 proclamation or not. And that's pretty much what I have for today, so thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to be heard? Seeing none, the second hearing of the public is closed. And let's move on to mayor and council reports, and we'll start with Mr. Kleinfeld.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First off, welcome to Brian Fairbrother and Ryan Cotton. It was nice to meet you today, Brian. I was out of town when you started. I hope everyone had a happy 4th. I was in Montana with my family, and I did absolutely nothing and stared at a lake for a week. So it was amazing. Just quickly on the Planning Commission, I know there's been some back and forth lately that hasn't been pleasant, and I really do just want to get to a point where we're progressing together with issues, and we don't always have to agree on things, but I certainly, as Ms. Lucido had spoken about in her invocation, want to make sure that we always maintain that level of respect. And I do think East Point has a pretty good reputation for that. And I'm going to leave it at that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Lucido.
First, I want to apologize to Mr. Pren. I do remember at the last meeting, I was supposed to forward your proclamation, and I was very sick, and then I've had overwhelming week this week because my husband and my oldest son were out of town, so I was left with the 2 little ones by myself all week. So I did forget. It is my fault. I did not forward it to the mayor, as I did promise you. It is definitely something I will make sure I put on my calendar to let whoever the new mayor is next year be notified for next year in June. So that, with that said, another thing is, I just wanted to say welcome home to my husband, my oldest son. They just got back from a 10-day trip in Iceland, and they had a really good time, and they left me at home. But but that's okay. They had fun, and I kind of enjoyed my break. My house was actually pretty quiet with them gone. So other than that, I don't think I have anything else this evening.
Thank you. Ms. Owens.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for everybody that came out tonight. Welcome back to Mr. Cotton. And also welcome to our new city manager as well. And also I would like to tell everybody to go to the library website. We have a lot of stuff going on. Jeopardy will be coming back, and we're having a book sale, so it's a lot of things going on at the library. So make sure you go out and support it. I also want to say thank you to everybody that works the commission, whether it's planning, the Cultural Diversity Commission, because you guys do a lot. When you volunteer your time, you can always get money back, but you can't get time back. So we want to say thank you, and I believe that all council are thankful, for you guys helping us to help us with our decision making. And I also like to thank everybody who posts, who sent me a text, who made a phone call, who sent cards to my house and flowers when my grandmother died. So I didn't have the most pleasant 4th of July. So, but it did bring my family closer. It's something how sometimes somebody has to die to bring your family closer, but that's what happens in life. And I hope that East Point can be a little bit closer, like Sarah Lucido said in her invocation. Sometimes we got to stop with all the petty bickering and things like that. We can't move forward doing that. So going forward, let's get the city back to where it's supposed to be. And we can't do that without doing it together. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you. Mr. DeMonico.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Sorry again about your grandmother, Monique. First, welcome, Ryan. Welcome back to East Point. Look forward to working with you again. And also, everyone in the audience, be sure to spread the word about ranked choice voting for the election this November for City Council only. Again, I've posted some information online. Check out a few links. There's good organizations to learn more about it and spread the word. We talked about it earlier. There will be plenty of meetings, and then the city will start an education campaign. But make sure you tell everyone, mayor's regular vote, City Council will be ranked choice. I'd like to congratulate the U.S. women's soccer team for winning the World Cup. That was very exciting. And then a couple events coming up. We'll have Music in the Plaza on the 24th, Denise Davis and Motor City Sensation, 6:30 behind City Hall like usual. And then on August 1st will be Rare's Sizzlin' Summer Night, 6 to 10 p.m. And then also, everyone keep interested in national politics by watching the presidential Democratic debates. There will be July 30th and July 31st. They'll actually be in Detroit. Watch those on TV. Those will be at 8 p.m. so you know what your candidates for president are saying. And that was all, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cotton has one more thing he'd like to add.
Thank you. I just want council to know that former manager Saboto has been very generous with his time in making the transition smooth. Nothing has fallen through the cracks. He spent 3 hours here with me today, orienting me, and I'm very grateful for that time and energy that he put into that. And he is an energetic individual, and I appreciate it.
I don't have very much to say tonight. I want you all to think twice about coming to see Denise Davis. She opened up the cruise this year. She's an outstanding performer, and she does a lot of Motown, and she's got an incredible voice. So she's going to be out here singing on the plaza. And Rare, the Sizzling Summer Nights is always a really good time. It's really nice to see a lot of people both from East Point and Roseville come out for that. And I'm always so glad when they do that over at Kennedy Park. It's a great event. And Monique, I was really sorry to hear about your grandma. You always have really fond memories of grandmas. I can remember every single time my grandma taught me something, and that was a long, long, long time ago. So they're very, very important. The Economic Development Director, we are excited that that is going to happen because we have been asking for that for a while. So I'm anxious, and those extra hours that we tacked on to the planning was just so we could find the Economic Development Director and bring that person in. So that was limited to 6 months, I believe.
Correct.
So, so I don't have anything else to add. I guess we're going into closed session. Did you want closed session tonight?
I don't need closed session related to the DOJ case. I believe there was 2 items on there. we can certainly go into closed session if council
And
chooses
you're
to do
ready
so.
to take on the other one. All right. So I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session, please.
Sure. Madam Mayor, I'll motion to go into closed session for collective bargaining strategy pursuant to MCL 15.268C and for attorney-client privilege communication.
Support.
Move support, please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Owens?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Go into closed session at 8:30. We might get out of here and go